tomorrow can you discuss module 3 briefly?
Module
3.
3.
Yes, sir. Briefly tomorrow.
You meant to say, should I revise?
Yes, sir.
The problem is while I'm discussing the problems itself, I'll revise. So LSTM, since I have not taken the live classes, so I thought I'll revise it once. But in CNN, we have done the live classes. But whenever we're discussing the problems, we'll come to know. And while explaining the solutions, I'll obviously discuss that indirectly. Okay, Shiva?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So now, okay, I think, did I share my screen? No, I suppose. Just a second. What happened? Share my screen also. Okay. So I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So if you observe from the beginning of the course till now, we are in module 4. But if you see, the main track was we started with DNN, then CNN, then RNN, then LSTM, then GRE. Okay. Of course, along with this path, we have seen the side topics in terms of activation functions, in terms of gradient descent variations, in terms of lot many other topics which are required in terms of overfitting or any other topics that we require for completing our journey successfully. But the main track is the architectures: DNN, CNN, RNN, LSTMs, and GREs. Obviously, these two comes under RNN only. That means we have seen 5, more than 5 actually. Oh, I'm not able to erase this. Oh god, because the trial version is there. Okay, fine. Fine, whatever. Just a second. Fine. Now, if you observe, what is the main sequence involved in these topics? Firstly, the deep neural networks are densely connected. You require hell lot of connections, you require hell lot of weights, and the training time will be extremely very high. Okay, that's the reason we jump to CNN where the connections are sparse. One thing you need to remember very importantly is you can represent you can represent CNN in the form of DNN that we have discussed in the classes. Maybe it's a long time. Please refer that. It's a very important topic for your CAT exam. Okay. See, representing CNN in the form of DNN was discussed as part of our classes. Please refer to that video once, or otherwise you can search in internet also. Okay, don't think that CNN has been taken from the sky. It is basically the sparse connections for the DNN architecture reveals us to go for CNN. And the other major distinction is here in DNN, every edge will have its own weight, but in CNN, we share the weights. That means, for example, if I have a weight W1 here for one edge, at some point in my CNN, other edge also will have the weight W1. The weights will be shared across the operation. Okay, and you can represent the same CNN in the form of DNN by showing similar weights in multiple edges, by showing the same weights in multiple edges. So, but one thing is, since I'm using the same weights, I don't need to spend extra time in coming up with new weights or identifying the best weights. I can use the same shared weights across my entire data set. That's the beauty of CNN, sparse connections or the shared weights. Then we went for RNN. The problem with CNN is it cannot find the relationship between the words. For example, if there is a relationship between like in a word W1 and WI plus 1 and WI plus 2. To predict the word WI plus 2, I definitely need to take W1 or W1 into consideration, W2 into consideration, and W3 will be decided based on W1 and as well as W2. That means whenever your output requires the relationship between the words to be revealed, then you should obviously take RNN. So it's not only the words, Nana. Whenever you have any kind of sequence learning problem, whenever you have any sequence learning problem, it can be a sentiment classification or it can be a parts of speech tagging, whatever it may be, all these tasks require the relationship between one word to the other. For example, take the case of sentiment analysis. For example, I have word W1, W2, W3. This is all part of one sentence. And at the end, I'm going to tell whether this sentence is a negative sentence or a positive sentence. One thing you need to remember, if I just tell that this sentence is negative or positive only based on W3 word, it doesn't make sense. What I have to do? I also need to consider the sentiment of W1. I also need to take the consideration of W2 and W3 as a whole. I need to classify whether the entire sentence is positive or negative. Okay. So that means there is a pure sequence before I actually give the output. But this sequence correlations cannot be established with CNN. You have to take the help of RNN. So whenever you have a pure relationship between the words of a sentence or between the entities of your input to get the output, you always go for RNN. These relationships of the input, the relationship between the entities of the input cannot be established by CNN. You have to take the help of RNN. Now, if we have discussed RNN and the equations of RNN, then we jump to LSTM. Now, LSTM and GRUs, why we have to go for LSTM from RNN? See, LSTMs, maybe I don't know. I don't know. Suddenly, okay. Now, take from RNN, I'm just discussing about LSTM, or we have already discussed LSTM after we have discussed RNN. Why? Even though RNN can model the relationship between the entities of the input. If you have a long sentence, that dependencies cannot be modeled by the RNN. So you need to take the help of LSTM. Okay, so if you're still not clear, let me just explain LSTM. Then after you are clear with LSTM, then let me also discuss GRUs. Okay, now, but till this point, are you clear, guys? Because RNN was discussed before your lab exams or lab session started, and everything was live till that point. Only LSTM and GRUs, I've sent you the recorded videos. So till RNN, is it clear to you guys? Is it clear? Shall I move to LSTM? If no one is responding, I can think that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, great. Now let me just jump into LSTM. This is the problem, yeah. Okay, I don't know why suddenly my PPT is not able to. I'm not able to edit my PPT. Okay, fine, whatever. See, here it's actually an LSTM cell. One thing, guys, by now you have gone through the recorded videos of LSTM and GRUs. And the LSTM architecture that you are seeing now on the slide is little different from the architecture that we have discussed. That means that different variants, no, Nana. That's one schematic representation of the same LSTM. This is another representation of the same model. There is no difference between this and that one, what we have seen in the recorded videos. But when you search in internet, this architecture comes very frequently than the architecture that we have seen. But both of them represent the same model, and both of them lead to the same equations that you see here. Both of them lead to the same equations that you see here. Okay, fine. Let us understand, or let us revise this in the context of a different perspective. Now, if you observe clearly, xt is my current input, xt is my current input, and ht minus 1 is basically the hidden state of the previous cell. Okay, you always need to remember one thing. there is a relationship between one word to the other. For example, if my input is a sentence, and to predict the final output, there is some strong relationship or weak relationship or much more weak relationship between the words of my sentence. So this hidden representation is going to tell you how is going to give you the previous output of the cell. I'll tell you. So this is ht minus 1, this is xt. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take the sigmoid of it. Here we have EFT. I already told the basic difference between the RNN and LSTM is, in LSTM we have gates. What are the gates that we have? We have forget gate, we have input gate, and we have output gate. So due to these gates only, the vanishing gradient problem will not come for LSTM. Again, we have seen that proof in the recorded videos. I don't want to delve into that because proofs are not extremely important, but knowledge will help you to solve the questions very well. Okay, we may not ask you the proof, but the intuition behind the vanishing gradient problem is sufficient for you to answer. Fine. Now I have taken the forget gate first, FT. So how did I get the FT? Basically, one thing you need to remember, whatever may be the hello. Who is this? Mute. Hello, Lokesh Kumar. Mute Nana. This is the way people are doing. People are enjoying in homes. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. I'm not able to even erase this. Okay, I think I have to take the help of this notepad and stuff because I'm not able to edit in my PowerPoint presentation. See, firstly, what we do is we just take xt, input xt, and I also supply ht minus 1. These are the common inputs, guys. These are the common inputs for all of my gates, ft, it, and ot. The current input xt and the previous hidden state, both are the common inputs for all my gates. So firstly, what we do is I'll just give this input to my ft. ft is a gate. ft is a gate. But before, instead of giving directly, what we do is we just apply a sigmoid and then pass it to the main state called as cell state. Here, this is called ct minus 1. Guys, don't get confused. People generally get confused between these two things, ct minus 1 and ht minus 1. In RNNs, we have only one hidden state. Okay, for example, this is input layer and this is my hidden state and this is my output layer. This is another input layer, this is another hidden state, this is output layer. For example, this is ht minus 1, this is ht. And these are interconnected. This is ht plus 1, next one. This is traditional RNN. But in LSTM, these ht minus 1 states are represented in two forms. That is ht minus 1 and ct minus 1. Now hidden states are two. For every cell, for every RNN state, for every RNN subnetwork, we will have two states, that is ht minus 1 and ct minus 1. See, ct minus 1, don't get confused. It's basically like a buffer where we keep the intermediate results and finally we get output ht. Only from ht minus 1, we need to get ht by taking the current input xt. Again, I'm repeating. For xt, whatever the xt that you have, current input, you need to get ht, which is the hidden representation of xt. Whatever the patterns that I have in xt should be embedded or should be modulated or should be encoded in the form of ht, and this ht will be given to the next cell. Okay, because RNN is a sequence of cell interconnections. Okay, for that, to reveal ht, to get ht, I should take ht depends on ht minus 1 and also depends on xt. Instead of directly giving the connections to ht, what we do is we do some computations here. and all that intermediate computations will keep it in CT minus 1, and that CT minus 1 we will directly give to HT. So CT minus 1 is basically like a buffer or a temporary storage area where we keep all the intermediate computations and finally give the current cell output called HT. Current cell output called HT. So what is HT minus 1? It's a previous cell output. What is XT? Current cell input. Okay. Yeah, let me just go back. Okay. Now, how do I write FT? How do I write FT? FT is basically forget gate. It's sigma of the sigmoid activation function of xt u. U is your weight matrix plus ht minus 1 w. ht minus 1 w. Do you remember, guys, in our neural network, in our RNN, you have input layer, you have hidden layer, and you have output layer, where we call as input layer between this input layer and hidden layer we call as U, and between this hidden layer and the output layer we call V, and this weights between this one and the next layer is called W. Okay, so now we are not touching V, guys. We're not touching V because as of now I don't have an output for every sub network that I have. I don't have an output for every sub network. For example, take the case of sentiment analysis, the same example. I will not have sentiment for every word. I'll have a sentiment for the entire sentence. So every independent neural network will not have an output. So maybe at the end I'll have one output. So I'm not focusing on that V as of now. Let us focus on U and let us focus on W. Now this for U, I'm just supplying input XT. So for this is my input dog and this is my weight matrix U, and W, this is my HT minus 1. So I'm multiplying HT minus 1 with W. That is my forget gate. Slowly we are trying to get in connection with the traditional RNN that we know and then trying to propose gates. Now, the forget gate, the input gate and the output gate, what exactly they do? As I told in the labs also, basically these are like filters. There can be F filter, I filter, O filter. They're basically filters. What filters do? They remove certain information. They remove certain information. Okay, basically, at least in the context of FT gate, FT filter removes the unwanted information from HT minus 1 and XT and pass it to CT minus 1. Again, I'm telling guys what FT do. It's a forget gate. That means I forget something from the input and pass only the important information to the next state. Now let us take an example so that you'll understand. Yeah, take this example, guys. Raju is very active in co-curricular activities. Co-curricular activities. He is a good dancer. Somu is better dancer than Raju and won prize. Won the prize. All the best. All the best. Now I need to fill the blank. Can you tell guys what will be the fill in the blank here? All the best to whom? All the best to whom?
Raju.
Raju.
Yeah.
Raju. No, Somu. See, Raju is very active in co-curricular activities. He's a good dancer, but Somu is a better dancer than Raju, and he won the prize. All the best, Somu. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Somu. Now, this has to be predicted by the system, not by us. Now, assume that I develop an RNN model or a LSTM model to predict the next word that is coming in my sentence. So if I want to do that with the traditional RNN, I may not be able to do because it's a very big sentence and the RNN would not be able to identify these long-term dependencies. Long-term dependencies cannot be modeled by RNN. But LSTM can identify the context of the entire sentence and it know what to forget and what not to forget using FT. For example, in this case, what it will forget is till this point when it is reading the word, Raj is very active in co-curricular activities. He's a good dancer. Now, suddenly it could observe a different noun called Somu. Then it understands that it has to give more importance to Somu than Raju because it is understanding it actually got some other context in terms of new word called Somu. So it has to forget these contexts that it has established. Forget in the sense it should not completely forget. I'll tell you that if it completely forgets what it will do. But as of now, it has to ensure that these entries with respect to Somu should be passed to the next state. Should be passed to the next state because this is my recent state and which is very important for my fill in the blanks. So I don't want my state or my forget gate to remove this. So forget gate basically models what information to pass to next state, what information should not be passed as it is to the next state. Here it will pass the entries associated with Somu because all the best Somu is the context that I want to build. So Somu related context has to be passed to the next state, then only it can fill the blank with respect to next coming states. So this is the forget gate with respect to an example. Now, again, I just multiply this and the same input gate, I would take this. I'll just take one more color now. Let me take this to sigmoid and this one and I just multiply and I also take this tan h instead of sigmoid. I just take tan h. I just take this and this one I call as IT gate. IT gate is nothing but input gate. Again to input gate, what exactly I'm passing here? IT is equal to sigmoid of xt because the IT receives the same thing. Every gate, Nana, do remember, every gate takes the same current input and the previous hidden state or the previous cell output. Okay, sigma xt again u plus ht minus 1 w. Now, what about this u and this w are same? No, these are related to I, these are related to I, these are related to f. UF, WF, UI, and WI. Now, this input gate is used to add information. Add information to this. This will be plus here, not into. What this input gate does is, it actually takes a different dimension. Anna. See, listen carefully, don't get confused. Listen very carefully. What I'm trying to do is take same ht minus 1 and xt and apply sigmoid here. Take same ht minus 1 and xt and apply tan h. Now this it is just multiplied with tan h. It is multiplied with tan h of ht minus 1 xt. Okay, to get some new information. This is called added dimension or added perspective. This is added new perspective. That means why I have to do this, sir, why you have taken sigmoid here, why you have taken tan h. See, Nana, only thing that you need to remember, because both this IT or like whether you take sigmoid or whether you take tan h, why we do all these things is to get a new perspective. What do I mean by new perspective? Let me tell you. For example, take this case. Change the color. Yeah. Now Somo is better dancer and won the prize. Now, if I want to do the prediction, all the best Somu, the previous sentence has two dimensions, two perspectives. What is it? What are the two perspectives? Better dancer is one perspective and won the prize is another perspective. That means my previous state may have different perspectives. Using a single activation function on ht minus 1 and xt cannot capture all those perspectives. So people take another activation function which looks at the same ht minus 1 and xt in a different direction, and this perspective is multiplied with this perspective to get a new perspective. Same thing, better dancer and won the prize. Both the perspectives are modeled using these two different activation functions, and that was added as a new perspective to my next state. Is it clear, guys? Basically, FT removes the unwanted information. It's a forget gate, as the name itself indicates. It removes the unwanted information not to be passed to the next state. Okay, so that means here, if you see here, I'll have only the, because FT is passed, FT is multiplied with CT minus 1, and at this point I'll have the relevant information. But relevant information is not only sufficient, I also need to have a new perspective. Whatever the feature extraction that we do, it should have all the perspectives of my previous sentences, which can be captured at least by two activation functions. So that was added to this relevant information. So whatever the relevant information that I got from FT was added with a new perspective of my previous inputs, and that will be passed to the next state. Okay, that is basically IT. So it's very clumsy. Okay, erasing it would be take a lot of time. Okay. So this is my FT. And now what I do as I did earlier, so it's basically sigmoid, and this is basically in IT. I have written the equation for that. I just multiply this with the tan h, and this one will pass. This I'll add. Why I'm adding? Because this is till here I'll have relevant information. Here I'll have new dimension, new perspective, some information is added here. This relevant information is added with new perspective to get some intermediate state in CD minus 1. I'll tell you in just a second. Then we'll continue this again. We'll pass sigma here. Again, I'll do sigmoid. Again, sigmoid activation function where I'm doing sigmoid activation function. Again, I'm doing on ht minus 1 and xt. Okay, and this one I'm just multiplying this with the tan h. See, the arrow was down now. People don't realize this. The arrow was down arrow. In the internet, I don't know why they don't mention this down arrow, but it should be a down arrow. Okay. Now here, what I have here, I have the relevant information given by Fargate. IT gate has added a new perspective. IT gate plus tan h added a new perspective. Now relevant information plus new perspective was supplied as input to the tan h, was supplied as input to the tan h, supplied as input to the tan h, and that was multiplied with the sigmoid of ht minus 1 and xt. Sir, it's okay. It makes sense for us to take some activation function on complete information that you have here. Now, by now you have the complete information and you're just taking tan h. It makes sense, sir. But again, why you have taken ht minus 1 xt and just added that information to this complete information? The reason is, Nana, this ht minus 1 and xt was been morphed with ft, it, and other activation functions. You have been morphing this like anything. So I don't want my morphed input to give more emphasis on my final output. So always you remember in our CNN also we have done that whenever there are a lot of morphings we supply, you see that Microsoft architecture in that of ResNet, where we are trying to pass the actual input whenever there are a lot of morphings. The same concept applies here. Since the IT and FT morphed the actual input XT, I don't want my final output to rely on the morphed context. I also need to establish the initial context for which I am passing HT minus 1 XT to my final output, which is tan H of relevant plus new perspective. So this explanation will not be there, even in blocks, Nana, because no one will. There's no proper reasoning for this. But I'm trying to decode as much as you can understand. So try to get connected with it. If you're not able to do it, just let me know. Okay. So, but this is the main idea of why you're passing again HT minus 1 XT to my final output, which is tan H of something. Okay. So now this particular thing would give the final output called as HT. HT can be the final output if this particular cell is the last cell of my architecture. If this is the intermediate cell, then HT will become HT minus 1 and it can act as input to the next cell. Okay. Okay. Now let us write the equations. I have written the equations for FT. I have to write the equations for the remaining things. FT I have written, IT also have written. Let me write the IT also. Where should I write? Okay, let me write here. So IT is basically, just observe the architecture. No? Sigma of, see, every architecture is very, very simple, and every gate takes XT, every gate takes HT minus 1. Every gate. Just multiply that with U and W. Why it should not be reversed? Because I already told you. Because in our RNN also, input weights are denoted by U, and hidden state weights are multiplied with W. Hidden state HT minus 1 is multiplied with W. The same notion that we have followed for RNN, same notion. And then next one is, I've written FT and OT. This is OT, and I forgot to tell you. This is OT. This is OT. OT is equal to, again, the same thing, Nana. Same boring stuff. Sigma of XT plus HT minus 1. Again U, again W. Again then CT tilde is basically tan H of XT, HT minus 1, U and W. What is this? CT tilde? CT tilde? CT tilde is basically this one, Anna. This one. Tan H of XTU plus HT minus 1 into W. Now finally CT. What is CT? This is CT. CT is equal to, how do I get CT? It is basically FT into CT minus 1 plus, see, this is important, Anna, see. I'm removing this extra information, which is not required as of now because that's only for demonstration purpose. See, how do I get to the final CT? I'm just doing what? I'm just multiplying certain aspects. I'm just adding certain aspects. See, CT is basically sigmoid of FT into CT minus 1, FT into CT minus 1 plus, sorry, plus, what I have to add? IT into CT tilde. See, it's basically very simple. And what I'm doing here? I'm just doing addition. Addition of what? FT into CT minus 1 and IT into CT tilde. This one and this one, I'm just doing addition to get the final CT. The same thing I've written here. Okay, FT into CT minus 1 plus IT into CT tilde. And finally, I'll write HT is equal to tan H. How do I get HT? I'm just applying tan H in the downward direction on what? On my CT. What are the CT that I got by now? What are the CT that I got? I just applying tan H of CT into OT. I'm just also applying OT to the tan H of CT to finally get the output of the current state. That is nothing but HT. Now, what did you understand? Why we are using CT minus 1 unnecessarily? CT minus 1 is just try to store the intermediate outputs and try to combine all that intermediate outputs to my final output called as HT. Is it clear, guys? See, if you're getting confused at this point, everything will be confused for you in the exam. Is it clear? Is it clear, guys? Oh, one more thing. See, again, I'm telling guys, the weights are different. Since it's IT, it's UI, WI. Since it's O, UO, WO. Since this is intermediate stage, it can be any weight. It can be G or H or X or something. And CT, it's directly the final output. Okay. Enough. This is HT. Assume that this is the last cell. That means HT becomes your final output. Okay. So now how do I get the final output? YT is equal to softmax of HT into V. Why suddenly I have a V here? Because in our RNN, this is an input layer. This is my hidden layer and this is my output layer. In RNN also, the weights are denoted by U and the weights are V. So this is my final. See, earlier I have some other hidden representations and everything. Finally, this is my final representation where the final output is HT. I'm just multiplying that with V and taking the softmax and finally giving the output, whether it's a positive sentiment or negative sentiment. So YT is equal to softmax of HT into V gives the final output in my final state. Okay, if this is the final state. Otherwise, this HT becomes the input to the next state. Is it fine, guys? I think I've just for explaining this have taken a lot of time. Okay, fine. Is it clear, guys? Any doubts? We'll jump to the next topic because I thought I'll start problems today, but I think tomorrow I'll have to discuss. Today's almost time up. Yeah, is it clear, guys? Is it clear or not? Basically, what we're trying to do at high level. See, if you want to remember this for your life, you may not be able to do it because there are a lot of like magical things that are happening here and there's no reason for that because as I told, the reasoning lies in empirical valuation more than in logical aspects. But you should know what exactly the forget gate, the input gate and output gate do. Forget gate basically removes the unwanted information. Input gate, with the help of tan H, adds a new perspective to the existing information. Now, the relevant information from here and a new information from here will be my final CT. For that final CT, I'm just adding tan H. But I can say that when you apply tan H of ST, tan H of CT, this can be HT. I'm not doing that. Why? Because I don't want my final output to be just relied on a CT which is like morphed and morphed and morphed. I don't want my final output HT to be dependent completely on CT where CT has been morphed from forget gate from the input gate. Instead, I'm telling my CT that, or I'm making sure that my final output is having some unmorphed data, which is basically HT minus 1 and XT, and finally getting the HT. So in that situations, what are the weight matrices? You see, again, these are weight matrices now, U matrix and UI, UG, WG, all these are weight matrices and they will be initialized randomly in the initial epoch and they'll be upgraded and updated in the back propagation. And this goes on till the time that you have minimal loss. Okay, but they observe that if they don't pass this OT to tan H, the number of epochs that they observe or the accuracy that they observe was downgrading. Okay, they could not observe high performance if they don't pass the initial input and the HT minus 1. That's the reason they have passed. So this conclusion they have experimented. Initially they have not passed this one, but they observed that the training time is very high, even the performance is very bad. That's the reason they observe that it's because of morphing, that is past the initial state of my cell to the last part of my cell, so that they understand, the system could understand the relationship between the OT and as well as CT, and finally establish the current output HT. Okay, this is a logical reasoning behind including OT even at the last part of my cell. Is it clear, guys? Shiva, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just see it, and it's basically a combination of multiple gates to finally get the output HT. Okay, HT is multiplied with V to get the final output Y cap or Y1 cap or Y2 cap, depending on the state. That's all. Okay, but what is the problem with LSTM? And in the recorded sessions, I've told that LSTM can overcome the problem of vanishing gradient. So just look into the recorded videos. I'll not again discuss that because it's completely mathematical. But as of now, like even though it has certain advantages in terms of overcoming problems like vanishing gradient, or it can work well to establish long-term dependencies. The main advantage is, even though your sentence is very big or input is very big, it could find out that, for example, if this is word 1 and this is word 10, so word 1 and word 10 are very far, but it could establish the relationship between the word 1 and word 10 because of the gates FT, IT and OT. These dependencies are not modeled using traditional RNN because traditional RNN do not have the gates FT, IT or OT. Okay, that's the reason it's named as long short-term memory. That means traditional RNN can only find out the relationship between closer inputs, but the LSTM can model the relationship between longer distance words also. Okay, it can be W20 also because of the gates that we have. Okay, but there's a problem here. The problem is the number of gates are very, very high. For example, see how many matrices I have to train. I have to find the optimal weights for U. I have to find the optimal weights for WI. I need to find the optimal weights for this. I need to find the optimal weights. I need to find the optimal weights. I need to find the optimal weights. So I have to find optimal weights for n number of matrices. Okay, so which is definitely time consuming. What people came up with is, can we reduce the number of parameters that we need to find? Can we reduce the number of parameters? Can we reduce the number of parameters or the weights? Parameters are nothing but weights and biases that you know. Can we reduce the number of weights or the parameters that we need to train? To get the final output HT, because HT requires multiple weights. Weights associated with input gate, weights associated with output gate, weights associated with forget gate. 6 matrix weights you have to find out. You will initialize all these weights randomly using back propagation with gradient descent. You keep on updating in multiple epochs, and finally you find out a hidden state HT, and this HT should give you the least loss. Till that point, you do back propagation and update these matrices. But the problem is, since there are like 6 matrices, at least 6 matrices, so definitely the time consuming is very high. Now, why can't I reduce the number of matrices that I have so that the number of weights that I need to find will be reduced? So to do that, we have a technique called GRU. GRU stands for gated recurrent unit. Gated recurrent unit. Guys, one thing I would like to tell you here at this point, LSTMs and GRUs are very, very important even now. They've been used for many, many, many applications. In our labs also, we have seen image captioning. For example, if I want to describe what is happening in the image, you can just take any of these architectures like LSTM and GRUs and generate the captions. Maybe we'll see as part of module 5 also once, but these are extremely very important state-of-the-art models. Of course, there are further extensions for this LSTM GRU. You will have further extensions. What we'll do is, maybe in tomorrow's class, I'll discuss the GRU. Once I think I may not be able to do all that stuff. Okay, fine. Yeah, we will go for GRU. Once the GRU is done, We'll discuss the problems that are very important for your exam. Actually, there are an extension of LSTMs. LSTMs were been further extended to give the top rated architecture even now. LSTMs are okay. They're mostly used for maybe if there are 100 applications, they are used for 40, 50 or 40% of applications as of now. And just taking an average. But remaining 60% of applications are being used with the extended architectures of LSTM and GRUs. We will see that maybe after the CAT exam. But as of now, in our module 3, or in our module 4, we have LSTMs and GRUs, and we'll directly go with the problems. I have around 10 problems to be discussed tomorrow. I request all of you to join on time because I'll not have time to discuss all the problems. So sharp at the time, I'll start without any delay. So be on time and we'll have a discussion, which are very, very important. And hopefully I'll also discuss a model question paper at the same time. Okay. So that's all for the day. And if you have any questions, you can just ask me.